write the equations in the same order and on top of each other. So when you solve them, you're going to have the x's on top of the x's, the y's on top of the y's. Just like all of these other problems we did, right, these last few, weren't they always on top of each other? So we just want to have the x's on top of the x's. Like that wasn't, so we want to fix it. But they're usually set up nicely for us. Okay? Step 2. Identify the variable that has the same number in both equations. So that means either the x or the y will say like 2x and 2x or 3y and 3y in both equations. One of them will have repeating numbers. Okay, same exact thing in both equations, okay? Step 3, this is the new thing. You're going to add if the signs, so we're talking about positive and negative signs, right, are different. That means one of the two x's is positive, one of the two x's is negative. Because when we add 2x and negative 2x together, don't they cancel out? 2x plus negative 2x, they cancel out. Okay, that's that's one of them. Or we're going to subtract, same part, if the signs are the same. So how I remember which one to do is add has the letter D in it. Actually, it has two D's in it, right? Add. D for different. Different signs, you add the equations. Subtract starts with an S. Same signs starts with an S. So if they're both positive or both negative, you're going to subtract. Okay. And stop. Step 4. Solve for one variable. Step 4 is pretty easy. Solve for that one variable after we add or subtract down. Step 5. Plug your answer, or plug the answer from step 4 into one of the original problems. Equations, problems, equations, whichever one you write. Just like we did before, we plugged x equals 1 into the equation to find what y is. We're going to do the same thing here. And as before, we write our answer as x comma y. The only difference here is they change the variables so much more in these problems. So it might not be x and y, it could be a and b. So you have to put them in alphabetical order. So you will have to think about that. I'm looking at them now to see if they're already in alphabetical order for you. They change the variables almost every single time on all of your problems, but they are already in alphabetical for you on the problems. Well, I might change your homework too. That might be nice. Yep, I am going to change your homework. Guys, I'm recording this lesson today. You need to stop. Okay, so if it's not X and Y, if it's A and B or C and D or Y and Z, whatever it is, you have to put it in alphabetical order. Okay, we're going to keep these steps. Do some problems. So, this is what it's going to look like, okay? First example. 4x plus 6y equals 32. That's the first equation. Right underneath it, they wrote it this way. I'm going to write it this way. 3x minus 6y equals 3. Okay? So write it down, then stop. We're going to talk through it. We all have it written down. Those of us who care enough to do it. So, look at these. Every single time. First step says, is all my stuff in order? Are my x's on top of each other? My y's on top of each other? My equal signs? My whole numbers? Is everything where it should be? In line. Okay. Usually step 1 in this section is very nice and easy for you. Okay. Step 2. Look at your x's. Are those numbers the same? No, definitely not. Look at your y's. Are those numbers, just the number part, are they the same? Okay, so we're going to focus on the y. So I put my finger there. Okay, now we need to figure out, are we going to add these two equations together because my signs are different? Or are we going to subtract them because these signs are the same? We're going to add them. So once we decide, what you're going to do is you're going to put a plus sign, because we're adding, between each group of numbers. So between the x's, between the y's, and between the whole numbers. Because when we add or subtract, we're adding straight down, because we're going to add straight down. Remember how we used to do that when we were little in elementary school? You're going to add straight down. So 4x's plus 3x's is how many x's? So I'm going to write 7x's. Now, if we do this right, we're good. 6y's plus negative 6y's. 0. That means they cancel out, right? That should happen. Every time you do this, one of them should cancel out. That means you picked the right operation. That equal sign stays there, so I'm going to bring down my equal sign. If you want, you can just put a 0. Do not put a y. You can put a 0 if you want. Then come over to the end. 32 plus 3. 35. So all I have left is this little equation, which is really 7x equals 35. Can we solve that little tiny equation? Yes, Jesse, what am I going to do to get x by itself? Okay, if I divide both sides by 7, what am I going to get for x? X equals what? 5. Look, we just did step 3 and 4. Step 5. Jalen, we're going to take our answer we just had. Just like earlier, we're going to plug it in. This time it says pick one of the original equations, one of these two original problems. It does not matter which one. Jalen, pick one. I personally like to always just pick the top one every single time, right? So you don't have to always decide. So we're going to take x. We're going to plug 5 in only for x. So if it helps you, draw an arrow where the x is. So you know and you remember you plug it into the right spot. So now let's write the equation. 4 times 5 plus 6y, because that's still there in the original equation, equals 32. Wake up. Okay. So 4 times 5. What is 4 times 5? Okay, so I have 20 plus 6y equals 32. No, because remember I plugged in 5 for x, so there's no x there now, right? So now, is there only one variable in our equation? Every time there should only be one variable when we're solving something. So how do I get y by itself? Yep, subtract 20 from both sides. So then I have 6y equals 12. How do I get y by itself? Divide by 6 on both sides, and I get y equals 2. And then, Derek, how do I write my final answer? 5, 2. Easier? Well, this one is easy because right now we're just adding. Right now the numbers have to be the same. Later the numbers don't have to be the same. It's the same. Okay, we're going to do addition for a little while and then we'll do subtraction, okay? Unless you want me to just do back and forth so you have to keep thinking about it. Long time. Okay, so let's do another one, okay? How about, I gotta fix my glasses. 5r, changing the variable, plus 2t equals 6. So now I have r and t, but you see how r comes before t in the alphabet and it comes first here? They usually put it in order here, so you know how to put it in order here, okay? Next equation, 9r plus 2t equals 22. Okay? Now, again, check it real quick because they like to confuse you. Are my r's, my t's, and my numbers all on top of each other? Okay. Now, look at your r's. Are the numbers the same? The numbers the same. Are my t's, are the numbers the same? So now we look at them. Are we going to add them because the signs are different, or are we going to subtract them because the signs are the same? So then I, between every single one, put a subtraction sign. And the order does matter. So when you put a subtraction sign, remember, you draw a straight line underneath. Order does matter. Do top to bottom. So 5 minus 9. -4, and because those are r's, we have to do r's. I have 2 minus 2. 0, so I'm just going to put a 0. I have an equal sign. 6 minus 22. -16. So really, this is good. Then we can just bring it together so they're close because I like to be able to see it. How do I get r by itself? Divide by -4 on both sides. R equals what? +4. Now that I know one of my answers, what are we going to do with it? Where do we want to plug it in? So again, I'm going to take this and I'm going to draw my arrow where I want to go so I don't plug it in the wrong spot. When you plug it in, is there going to be any r's in that equation? No. So 5 times 4. If Derek chose to pick the bottom equation, he would still get the same answer. So you can pick whatever equation you want. Okay? 5 times 4 plus 2 times t equals 6. So 5 times 4 is 20. Bring it down. Now what? Subtract 20, ironically, which was the last problem. We just did that too, right? Subtract 20 from both sides. We get 2t equals -14. Next. Divided by 2, we get t equals -7. So my final answer is going to be written. Think about what the order was here. Correct. R comes before t, so 4 then -7. Yeah, that's because you're not used to it. especially with the different variables. Ready for some more? Okay. Well, I'm going to throw some substitution at you because you need them. Huh? This is long. This is shorter than yesterday. Well, while you're ripping paper over there, well, that means you're not fully paying attention. Okay, let's try this next problem, okay? How about, this is number 3, right? So how about 5m minus p equals 7. What number, again, is technically in front of that p? I would always put it there because sometimes you guys get confused when there's just variables there, okay? Next equation, 7m minus p equals 11. Again, I would always put the 1 where I see it. Make sure your stuff is in order. Jesse is going to tell me what to do. I'm going to write everything he says. I'm not going to say a single thing. Okay, so look at your steps. No, I picked Jesse. What's step 1 say? Okay, so is that all good? Okay. Okay, so step 2. Do you know that answer? Okay, so I'm going to pick P. So I'm going to put my finger here. Step 3. So we need to decide that. The signs mean these guys right here. So we're going to subtract. So in between all 3 of them, I'm going to draw subtraction and then draw the line. So you do that, and then Jesse, tell me the math for each of them. Okay, -2. What goes after the 2? M, okay. Okay, 0. What are you missing? Wait, you're missing your equal sign. When something cancels out to be 0, you don't need a P, but you need to always remember to bring down your equal sign. We have like 15 minutes. Now what am I going to do, Jesse? You want me to rewrite it? So let's rewrite it. I just took the 0 out. Divide by what? Okay. 1m. Where does the equal sign go? So m equals 2. Okay. Now that I have this, for what letter? What letter's right here? So we're going to plug that number in for m. So I'm going to write what? Okay. Now what are we going to do? Okay. Am I done? Okay. Mm-hmm. So then, am I done or how do I write my answer? Correct. Is it good? Good? Not so bad? Even with the P's and the things? Let's do one where maybe it's not in order. How about A and B? Let's do that. 6A, no, minus 3B equals 27. I always pick the right side of the board to do this, and it's always a dumb idea. Next one, 3B minus 2A equals negative 11. So, step one, is it in order? My A's and my B's and my whole numbers are on top of each other. My whole numbers are good, right? But this side is not. Since these are on the same side, and you see how the first equation has A then B, and that's alphabetically correct? So the second equation is what's wrong. Yeah? All you need to do is literally switch their spots. You don't have to do any math. You literally just, if I could pick these up with my fingers, we're just going to switch them. So I can just rewrite it as negative 2A plus 3B equals negative 11, and like this is gone. We don't even need that. For you, you could erase those two and switch them. I don't have the ability to erase with this marker. The only thing about these is you have to keep them in that order. Since this equation's on top, you have to keep it on top. Since this equation's on the bottom, it has to stay underneath that problem. That's the only rule. So I just switched them. The 2A was still negative. The 3B was still positive. I just switched their spots. Now, are we going to add or subtract? Add. What is canceling out when we add them? The B's. So I'm going to put addition here, addition here, addition here. I just don't have enough room. What is 6A plus negative 2A? 4A. Thank you for adding the A. What happens with my B's? Okay, just going to go like that. What happens with my whole numbers? So I have 4A equals 16. Again, you can rewrite it if you want it to be close to each other. What am I going to do, Jalen, to get A by itself? By, what do I get? Yep, what do I do with that answer? And plug it in where? For the A. Yep. So I'm going to write, Jalen, what's going to be my equation? I'm going to write. Okay, what am I going to do next? Okay. Oh, and I get B equals. How do I write my answer? I'm going to put it right there. So we see this. Yes, it's not so bad. We want to be really good at this because the next section is still elimination, but the numbers won't already be the same. So we'll have to make the numbers the same. We'll have to use the M word. What's the number? We just saying the whole number for the numbers with the variables? The numbers with the variables. We don't care about the whole numbers really. You know how these numbers like 3B and 3B, they were already the same? The next section we're going to do is none of these numbers, you'll look at it and go, oh, none of these numbers are the same. So how do we make them the same? Well, how can I take 3 and 2 and make them the same number? Well, 3 and 2 can be multiplied by each other and make them 6, and they can turn into the same number. So next section, we'll do the same thing. All this process will be the same. We'll just have to add a step in the beginning, but the rest of it will be the same. So I'm going to stop this.